Hello and welcome to Back of the Loft. This week we're going to be going for our top 10 Pokemon games.
We are.
This was a very hard one to narrow down.
Oh, it was as well.
I think I had my top 8 and then just 30 vying for the 9th place.
I had my top 9.
Yeah.
And then about 30 top 10s.
I really tried to narrow down. I tried to narrow down further into not just sets of games, but a specific game as well.
Oh, like a version.
Like a version.
Oh, I haven't done that. I've put both versions on.
Yeah, so we'll see how this plays out.
As far as I'm concerned, they're the same game.
Not necessarily. I mean, red and blue had different.
They all have exclusive Pokemon.
They had exclusives.
Obviously,
yeah.
Ruby and Sapphire are very different from one another.
And clearly red's better because of Growlithe and Oddish. Yeah, just.
I haven't got an argument for that. That's a very good point to be made. Do we need to introduce Pokemon? Is it?
I mean, I imagine most people know the Pokemon games made by Game Freak, most of them.
I tell you what, instead of doing an introduction to Pokemon, because most people know what Pokemon is.
Yeah. Why
don't we tell them our introduction to Pokemon? How did you meet Pokemon?
Well, I met her on a sunny day, back in '96. My introduction to Pokemon was actually the Caterpie episode. It was the first one I'd seen, just randomly on Sky One.
Really?
Yeah, it was before it became big. Not many people knew of it. And I just wanted a cartoon. It was pretty much anything on. So yeah, watch the Caterpie episode
where Misty gets freaked out.
Yeah, and yeah, just I introduced my family to it, and the card games and that came out, and that was it.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Because you are a little bit younger than me. I assumed you came in with Gen 3 actually.
No, from the beginning.
Well, I first met Pokemon without knowing what it was, because it used to be advertised in Marvel Comics.
Oh really?
Yeah, and I used to be a comic collector. I'm mostly out of that now.
Mostly.
I didn't buy it at the boot sale the other day.
No?
There was a load of Daredevils and I was tempted, but I was very good. I didn't know what it was. I don't remember wanting it or wanting to play it.
No.
There was just an advert on the back with a row of Pokemon Geodude and Clefairy and that, and a net going to grab them, and Pokemon got to catch them all. And I see it all the time in like Avengers and X-Men. I just took no notice of it at all. And then later on, when it got big, one of my mates got me into it with a copy of Blue.
I think mine was the episodes followed by the card game, because some of the cards started coming out, the base sets, and then red and blue when we could afford them.
Yeah, I went in that order. The first one I saw was Primate Goes Bananas.
Yeah. Okay. So about 20 odd episodes in.
Yeah, a bit later.
Yeah.
And then we went to I went to the card game. We got ours from Curry's.
Oh, okay.
On the Eastern Avenue in Romford. We looked everywhere for them, and they're all sold out. But Curry's had the starter decks.
For anyone wondering, I'm not sure if Curry's are everywhere. It's a place that just sells PCs and
it sells
house electronics.
It sells fridges.
Sells fridges and Pokemon cards apparently.
Yeah, it's not the first place you'd ever think to look for it, which is probably why they were still in stock.
He didn't buy them from an Indian restaurant.
Although in about 2001 you probably could get them in Indian restaurants.
You probably could. I mean, I think the majority of the ones that I bought back in the day was Woolworths, which was a superstore.
It's American.
No, it is American.
Yeah.
Now gone in the UK.
Not over it.
No, still not over it. And mostly just the corner shops. Your off licenses and stuff.
I used to get my cards from the Romford Shop Mill.
Okay.
There used to be a bloke. It was called Starbase Alpha. That's what it was called.
That is a cool name.
And I used to go there for everything, for figures, for comics, and for Pokemon cards. And that's where I got my Charizard from.
We used to have a before you had like the chain stores like Game Station, and we had a local shop called Games and Crystals, which literally just sold video games and crystals.
Yeah, I remember it sold like new agey stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. I really missed that shop.
This is in Dagenham.
This is Dagenham, yeah. But
yeah, there was a chance that me and you were in that shop at the same time.
There's fully a chance
without ever knowing each other. That's weird.
Yeah, it's where I got most of my games back then. But anyway, Shall we kick off?
I will do one other thing as part of the introduction, is to remind everyone listening who's not from the UK that we got Pokemon very late.
We did.
But yeah, it's just worth knowing that we got it a bit late. So if we start reminiscing about things and it doesn't seem to quite
link
line up,
yeah.
we were a year behind America and about 4 years behind Japan.
Yeah, everyone's 4 years behind Japan.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
What have you got? This is the one that changed numerous times.
Oh, I had Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon for this.
Yep.
I had ORAS on this. I had Black 2 and White 2.
Yep.
And then I saw your list. And
Cheater, honestly.
the Pokemon trading card game was on it. And I sat there and I just thought, I was playing that last week.
Yeah.
Why is it on my list? It's one of the spin-offs I play the most, but I only seem to play it every 3 years.
Every couple of years you'll just play it religiously for
Yeah.
about 2 weeks to complete it, and then it'll fade. But it's got the replayability, is what you're saying.
It has.
Yeah.
It obviously has me. It must do. I keep going back to it, but I do like the trading card game.
Yeah.
So, like, why is it on your list? Other than the fact you go back and play it, I go back and watch Space Jam every 6 months. Space Jam shouldn't be on anybody's top 10 list, unless it's top 10 sexiest bunnies. I don't know.
Yeah.
The reason it's on here is really sad.
Why is that?
It's sad. I want you to get your violin out, or Cricketone, Cricketone, either way.
Got to find it.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah. My violin sounds like a phone ringing.
It's got those Casio keyboard settings on it.
It's a Yamaha violin.
It's on here because it allows me to play the trading card game on my own.
Ah, that's fair.
Because I'm an only child. I didn't have a lot of friends when I was a kid, and they're not always going to be there. You can't have them there all the time. And if you've got no one else to play with at home, yeah, it's just because I was a lonely child, and also I don't grow out of things very often.
Yeah.
And most normal children and adults kind of do. They move on.
I think you've also got the aspect of, even if you did have loads of friends and they all collected Pokemon cards, a lot of people just collected them, and there weren't many kids who could be bothered to learn to play the game.
No, honestly, I haven't played a physical match since I was about 17.
I think I only had one other friend who knew how to play the game or could be bothered to learn.
But again, I played this game 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, most kids I knew got the deck, took the cards out, chucked all the other bits like the point tokens.
I haven't got any coins or anything.
No, so it did allow you to actually learn the game, play it. It had a great adventure mode.
Yeah, it allows me to play it on my own.
Yeah.
And play it after everybody else had moved on.
Yeah.
I know there was tournaments and stuff. I'm from Romford. I don't know if there's anything outside. Like if it's beyond Dagenham and Barking, I don't know it exists. And it's worth the little card art's lovely.
If you haven't ever gotten around to playing the trading card game on the Game Boy Color or emulators, if you're that way inclined,
How dare you suggest they illegally pirate Pokemon games?
I would strongly recommend going back and playing them, especially if you're just starting out and want to learn the rules. It probably doesn't hold up to today's rules where you've got VMAX cards, X cards.
There's no fancy cards at
But
all.
just learning the basics of the game, it's a very good way to do so.
Like basic Hitmonchan's probably the most powerful card in this game.
Yes, yeah.
It's base set, Fossil and Jungle and the exclusive to the game.
It was before Johto came out.
It was before Team Rocket came out.
Yeah, before the Rocket cards came out. But it is a very good segue into, if you want to learn the basics and then slowly learn all the new stuff that's come out since 1998.
And honestly, it's so easy to play. You probably could play it on a Segway.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. Didn't the guy who invented Segways die on a Segway?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so
I'm sure he did.
Do not play this on a Segway.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
My number 10 is... I'm surprised it's so far down the list.
I was about to say this is low.
This is low, but it's tough. It's about the time where the nostalgia started to end.
I think this was the first one I bought with my own money, and I didn't get it as a present.
I've realised I've not actually said what this game is.
What are you playing?
My number 10 is Pokemon Emerald. Yeah, it's the first game where the nostalgia wasn't wearing off yet, but I really enjoyed the Hoenn region. But yeah, it's when I started being less, I have to have the Pokemon games day one. teenage responsibilities started kicking in a bit, unfortunately.
Responsibilities.
Yeah.
Don't you mean hormones?
I mean mostly tests and GCSEs and things like that.
You didn't spend your GCSE revision time playing Pokemon?
So yeah, this is the last Pokemon game nostalgia bait game that I had really fond memories of.
It's your last kid era game.
It's my last kid era game.
Yes.
Yeah. It's one of my favourite regions, Hoenn. I mean, I replay it now and I've realised how much water there is. But it's got some of my favourite Pokemon in it. It cemented my love of water types. I mean, you had Wailord.
There are loads of water
Pelipper,
types.
Ludicolo. There's just so
There's
many
enough.
water types.
I get why there's a lot of water types. There's a lot of water.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good water types in this. Except Wishcash and Barboach, they say.
Relicamp's a bit iffy.
I like Relicanth as a design.
As a design.
He's just useless.
And he's very hard to get for a Pokemon that doesn't do much.
No. I imagine he'd be a good club though. Do a bit of damage.
This was also the region where obviously this is more Sapphire and Ruby, but you started getting different teams, enemy teams, instead of Team Rocket, depending on what game you got. You got Magma or Aqua.
But this has them both in it.
This has them both, which is why I like
an
them.
excellent.
It's an excellent addition.
Excellent way of doing it.
I found the contests quite interesting and engaging. If you wanted to have a break from the main game and do a few side quests.
You were into contests?
I was for a bit, only because my brother was adamant on 100% completing the game. This is around the time where we still only had one copy of a game at a time. Me and my brother would take turns playing and completing it, but we'd always just be...
This is George, right?
This is George, yeah. He's something to idolise, really.
He is really.
But so yeah, he'd start off the contest, and I couldn't just leave them half completed, so I'd then go on to try and get all the ribbons. It's also.
Did you both have contest outfits?
Yeah. Shh. This was also the first region where the amount of legendaries just exploded.
Yeah, and they were still pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
not a bad legendary in Gen 3, really.
some of them were really hard to get. Kept trying to find Latios and Latias because they would just randomly
They
appear.
roamed, didn't they?
The Reggies was a pain in the arse to try and get.
The brow.
The brow. It was an interesting side quest. It gave you something else to do once the game was completed rather than just start afresh. And I think with the main series games, you were less likely to want to finish them and start again because you'd built up a relationship with the Pokemon that you'd collected along the way. Like if you'd given them nicknames and stuff, you didn't want to just delete them and start again. So having extra content after the game was complete, I really enjoyed. Going back and trying to get all the legendaries.
There was a lot of post-game content, really, in this.
Yeah.
It's true. I'm foreshadowing, but this is going to turn up again.
Okay.
So we'll come back to some of the positive elements of post-game.
I think my only reason it's at number 10 is I'm traumatised by Sky Pillar. Trying to do the match bike and not fall through the floor and start again. And a lot of this is also where a lot of the it's
Sorry, it's funny because I relate.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's also one of the game. It's the first game where the DLC started kicking in. There were even though there were quite a lot of legendaries, it was the first time that a lot of them you couldn't get unless you went to a game station or a GameStop.
How many is there in this? It's Jirachi and Deoxys.
Jirachi, Deoxys. You had Mirage Island and that, which was a pain as well trying to get.
Yeah, because previously you got Mew given to you or Celebi given to you.
Yeah.
This was the first game that had like a whole giveaway locked area and.
Or you had to have Pokemon Box. Or,
Yeah.
And
Box, yeah.
to get a Jirachi and try and unlock it. Or Pokemon Wish was it? There's a Pikachu game, like one of the Pikachu side games where you had to complete it for a chance of getting a Jirachi, and then you could transfer it to your mainline game.
I don't remember that. I remember you got one free with Pokemon Box.
Yeah, you got one through Pokemon Box, but that came out quite a while
It was on
after.
GameCube.
Yeah, so
No, it would have been contemporaneous, wouldn't it?
I think there was about a year gap between it.
Because this is GBA.
Yeah, this is GBA. I believe Pokemon Box came out with a GameCube. It was around the time Pokemon Colosseum, because I got Pokemon Box when Pokemon's Colosseum came
Yeah,
out.
Colosseum is Ruby and Sapphire Stadium.
Yes.
So it would have been about the same.
About the
time.
same, but there was a gap.
Yeah, I don't remember Pokemon Box coming out.
We'll make note Monkey had a note.
The Fault Monkey will sort this out.
Fault Monkey will correct us on this.
Yeah. Get to work, Fault Monkey.
But yeah, Sky Pillar and the difficulty of getting certain Pokemon is definitely what makes this lower down the list for me.
Sky Pillar trauma is real.
Yeah.
Not enough Pokemon fans talk about this.
There are no rewards for trauma.
No, it's true. Just to stop for a minute. There are obviously there are things that Pokemon fans always bring up, like Cynthia and Whitney and Lavender Town.
Yep.
Not enough people are talking about their Sky Pillar.
No one talks about Sky Pillar. It was only years later when my best mate decided he was going to
Sky Pillar.
Yeah, he was going to try and get the shiny starters, which was a lot of soft resets, and he really wanted a shiny Rayquaza.
It's black. It's really nice.
It's one of my favourite shinies, to be fair. But trying to redo Sky Pillar over and over again for a shiny chance, no, trauma, done. Can't do it.
That is a bit of self-inflicted trauma.
That is self-inflicted, but trauma nonetheless.
But it's bad enough on its own.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
What's your number 9, mate?
My number 9 is Pokemon Stadium.
Ooh.
And
That feels low down.
well, the fact is that Pokemon Stadium is good. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to diss Pokemon Stadium. Pokemon Stadium is very good,
Yes.
but I know that Pokemon Stadium 2 is better.
Oh.
Everything I'm going to say about Pokemon Stadium can be considered true for Pokemon Stadium 2.
Okay.
Only Pokemon Stadium 2 has got the Gen 2 mons as well.
It's starting to sound like a fight on site, but carry on.
Oh, what?
It's starting to sound like a fight on site, but carry on.
It's fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
We can record our scuffle and make it into a YouTube short.
Carry on being wrong, come on.
To really appreciate Stadium, I think a lot of younger fans can't appreciate. They can't appreciate just how cool it was. In 2000, there's no. The only 3D game is Pokemon Snap. I didn't have Snap at the time. I got it afterwards. But to have all 151 Pokemon in 3D, fully animated, all attacks animated, like it looked like the cartoon, only better because the graphics are really good on Stadium. It was just the jump to go from the pretty off-model Gen 1 sprites, then to the decent but limited amount of Pokemon in Snap, to all 151.
It's a massive jump.
All in excellent 3D with full animation. It's such a big jump to experience. And you start Stadium, you start and you go through, and there's all the fully evolved Pokemon like Gurnin and
just looking
like
over
Rhyhorn and Rhydon with the black background and that. It's so cool, and every time I play Stadium, I get to relive that sensation,
that nostalgia,
that nostalgic first reaction to seeing all these cool characters. Almost realistic, like. But of course, that is true for Pokemon Stadium too, because it uses the same engine, and there's not much difference. There's some different mini games in 2.
Different mini games.
I like mini games in this one, by the way.
Yes.
It's got Magikarp in it, and
it's got Magikarp. It's got the Licky Tongue game.
Yeah, the Licky Tongue game.
It's got the Kakuna and Metapods.
Yes.
I like that because you're all meant to be Metapods, and then every now and then someone would randomly get a Kakuna, and that felt like, oh, I'm the lucky one. I got the special.
Because Kakuna is objectively cooler than Metapod.
Oh yeah.
Kakuna's an alien cocoon. Metapod's a dead turd.
It has got the Gen 2 Pokemon, so I'll give you that.
But I don't get that wonderful feeling playing 2. I didn't even have 2 originally. I first played 2 on emulation, would you believe? Then I bought it years later.
Really?
I didn't have 2 at the time.
I have a Japanese copy of 2, just because I had to get it. I saw it.
Why wouldn't you? I can't see a problem with that.
No.
The reason it's a bit low is because, it's there for a silly reason. It's there because it makes me happy to remember a sense of wonder that I felt in 2000. Really, isn't it? That's the answer. But I do still experience that sense of wonder when I play.
Whenever you load it up.
So it still has to be on the list.
Oh, 100%.
So it gets to sit at number 9, and sulk.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
This is a bit low.
This is a bit low. My number 9 is the new Pokemon Snap. I really struggled because I have. This would have been a fond nostalgia list if I didn't mix things up a bit, because I have such fond memories of the original Pokemon Snap. Again, the 3D sprites, first 3D game. Just the rail. I think it's the first proper rail shooter I played. Like,
Really?
where the thing you're in is actually on rails, I guess, as opposed to like Time Crisis, you know, where you're playing someone running around.
Yeah, that's a good point. There are a lot of rail shooters aren't actually on rails.
Aren't actually on rails.
Rail chases. I played rail chase as a kid. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a very.
But I have fond memories of the first one. Like, this one is lower down because even though it's objectively better as a game than the original, it's the sound effects and that from the original, like Professor Oak's "Yep, wow," and stuff like it just made it, and that do like the background tune when you're assessing your photos, I really liked. This was an amazing. This is one of the games that I had been waiting for 20 years
I think
for them to make. They missed out so many times. They could have made a Johto version when Gold and Silver came out. They could have been making one of these every 3 to 4 years, and I would have bought every single one of them.
I'd have bought one a generation.
But this is one of those game series I would buy them every year,
I think most fans would have.
or at least every gen.
You don't hear many Pokemon fans having a bad thing to say about Pokemon Snap.
No. I mean, the original probably doesn't hold up as much anymore, but I still replay it once every 3 to 4 years.
I like it. I think there's some pretty fun stuff. You can get like Coughing explodes and
Yeah,
you know.
throwing a apple at Charmeleon's head to make it fall into a volcano and turn into a Charizard.
Yeah.
That's what made the original Pokemon Snap amazing, because you play it through once and you realise you can start doing things that alter the surroundings,
And this has got that, but times
in abundance.
Like, it's that times 10.
It has so many more levels. The graphics are amazing. There's loads of Pokemon in it.
When Tyrantrum randomly rushes in and smashes everything up.
Yep.
It's so cool.
It was so amazing. It's great that it's such a good game. It can be played in handheld mode. There's so many levels. The side quests I really enjoy. Gives it a lot of replayability to go back and be, you've unlocked this now. You should go back and play the first level, and maybe you'll find
Give
this.
this a go, yeah.
Yeah, maybe chuck an apple at this person.
And Todd came back. Todd Snap came back.
Yeah, like, in case anyone doesn't know this game, you're on a rail shooter. You go from the start of a level to the end. Pokemon are running around.
Instead of shooting them, you take pictures of them.
Yeah, you take pictures of them.
So you shoot them.
You get at the end of the round, your pictures get judged for how good they are. You get points, so you can slowly try and build up a high score. You unlock things like you unlock apples, which you can use to lure Pokemon towards other Pokemon or destinations that might make them transform.
Or you can lob at Volcarona's head.
Yep, you can throw an apple at someone's head and it knock them in, and
you have to use it for. Sometimes you have to use it strategically. Sometimes you can just throw it for a laugh.
You also get power-ups where you can speed through the level or slow down your progress, which means you might get some better pictures. There's just a lot involved in this game.
The apple mechanic is improved, I think, in this because you've got more derpy Pokemon to throw them at.
Yes.
Like throwing it at Quagsire is wonderful.
Yes. It doesn't quite realise what's happened. I think there's only one reason this is at number 9 and it isn't number 1. Actually, 2 reasons. One, they waited way too long. 20 years I've waited for this, and I'm still a bit salty about that.
You're bitter.
I'm very bitter. And 2, because Nintendo won't stop being cowards and make a VR headset. I've been to Japan. They've got VR Mario Kart. They've got VR of quite a few of their games. VR Pokemon Snap would be the best game on any console ever made. Being surrounded by it, having a Mantine fly over your head, jump out of the water and fly over your head.
I wouldn't leave the house for about a week.
I'd be playing it non-stop.
Just flocks of Pidgeotto, or some of the big legendaries like Reshiram and Zekrom flying above you.
They've got the perfect opportunity.
The water levels would be brilliant.
If they ever create a VR headset and re-release this, it is an immediate number 1. But until then, I can't put it higher than this.
Spoilers. We're back to
Spoilers. Okay, moving on.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
Oh, this is me. Is this me me hot take, me controversial choice. I don't know.
Could
It's
be.
Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Okay,
Like
so
I say, I'm grouping the versions together.
you're not
Mario.
choosing a specific version.
No, because although I know there are differences. These have got different legendaries in them.
Yeah.
Like they are. These have got different gym leaders.
Yes. Yes. I have.
B or Alistair or whatever. But they're not different enough. They're released at the same time. They're a 2-pack.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with them sharing a slot.
You haven't got a strong preference on exclusive Pokemon, and it's a lot easier these days to get the ones you can't get in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to find someone who has a link cable.
No.
You know, it's just a lot easier to go. Oh, you got a Switch? I got a Switch. We're at a convention. Let's go.
Yeah, it is negligible. So I don't have a problem with them sharing slots. I really enjoy Sword and Shield.
Sean and Hildy.
Sean Hill.
Sean and Hildy.
Sean and Hild.
Sword and Shield.
Yeah, so
Yeah, you really enjoy Sword and Shield.
I like Sean and Hildy. They're both nice kids. Do I like it because it's set in Britain?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit of pathetic patriotism sort of creeping in. It's our one,
Yeah.
and they did quite a lot of effort. It's a lot of work.
They did a good job. They added some fairy tale aspects. They added industrial aspects.
There's the towns have all got very English sounding names. They even bothered to accurately represent our immigrants.
Yeah, I mean they've got the legendaries are dogs that look like lions, so somehow fit both.
Yeah, which is what we've always wanted to be. Really, dogs that look like lions.
I love of dogs and the lions.
We are dogs that want to be lions.
Yeah.
Really. I get there were genuine issues. There was coding issues. There was glitches. It wasn't as bad as Scarlet and Violet, but it does have performance issues. I know this.
Yeah.
I also don't care. Because no, I don't. I don't care about FPS. I don't care about the occasional glitch. It's not Red Dead Redemption. It's not Ride to Hell Retribution.
You're not trying to speedrun Nuzlocke and get a world record in times.
No.
So
The game is more than functional.
Yes.
Functional.
Functional. Yeah.
Functional. The game is more than functional. Most glitches and performances are negligible. It's not even like Gen 1 where you've got major game breaking glitches.
You also have the thing these days where, because you're playing on a Wi-Fi enabled console, you can get updates that then go on to fix.
They did patch.
It is annoying that they start with the issues, but they can be patched out.
Now, Sword and Shield is, well, compared to Scarlet and Violet, it's perfectly stable. But it is
Perfectly playable.
Yeah, there's no. I've not encountered a glitch that's made me think, or a performance issue that's made me think, nah, sod this.
Nothing rage quit worthy.
No, this isn't Sonic 06.
No. Yeah.
So while I respect they are there, it's number 8. It's not. And of course there was Dexit. This is this overblown problem. Pokemon fans, since Gen 3, every game has limited what Pokemon you can play in it.
Yeah.
There has never been a game where you can have all Pokemon up to that point catchable.
As in everything from Kanto onwards, like
Yeah.
from Gen 1 onwards.
There's always been missing legendaries or mythicals. There's always been like really stupid missing things. Like, do you know Gardevoir? The Gardevoir line isn't in Diamond and Pearl.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's always been omissions. This is not a problem.
I think working from a game designer aspect, there are hardware limitations.
Yeah, they couldn't.
That you can only have a certain amount of memory. You can't. When you get to about 600 Pokemon, each that can have different movesets, that can have different abilities.
They're not sprites anymore. They're
3D models.
Pokemon.
Also, having to use up half your memory on your Switch to play it.
Yeah, it's just.
You've got to take sacrifices.
So that's that bit dealt with. We have to deal with these sorts of things. Why I like it is I think it's just the right amount of open world. I don't like open world games. I don't like Grand Theft Auto. I don't mind Breath of the Wild, but I don't like.
It's not your cup of tea. You like to have a plan, a linear path. I like games with a linear path, that you can kind of go off the beaten path a bit. But yeah, if it's too
Yeah,
open world
which you
or
could
you
do.
don't know where you're going,
You had the wild areas that you could go and spend a couple of hours fiddling about in and
doing a few Dynamax battles.
Yeah, I'm not a big Dynamax fan, to be
No.
honest. Max Race felt a bit superfluous.
It was a
They're
good way to level up.
Yeah, it's a good way to get Pokemon that
And
are missing.
legendaries. So introduce legendaries that don't really fit into the game world, but some people might want.
Yeah, it had a purpose, but it just felt. It's one of the few things that's knocking it down a bit.
Yeah.
But what I do like is the general design. It's still a route-based Pokemon game. It still uses a standard Pokemon formula. It hasn't got an Elite Four.
No.
But with the added exploration that I wanted, I'd play Diamond and Pearl and want to go beyond the old chateau or that sort of thing.
Yes.
You can do that in this, and it's got a real lot of my favourite characters in this game. A lot of them are from Sun and Moon as well, funny enough, who isn't on this list because the game's not very good. But
it was the most likeable rival in a while. Like, he's still way too nice.
Hop's a good lad though.
Yeah, he's too nice. I miss rivals telling me to smell you later and
yes,
insulting my mum on the way out.
But his big brother's cool.
His brother is cool.
His big brother, the Charizard, is cool. I really like Sonia, the ginger girl.
Yeah, she's
with
great.
the Yamper. She's so nice. It's got a great set of gym leaders.
Oh yeah.
Not just Nessa.
No.
You lot out there.
The fairy gym leaders, good.
I like what's his name? Milo, the big beefy go trainer. I like him.
who's the ghost boy?
Alistair. Alistair's well cool.
Alistair's cool.
That's one of those things about version differences where you can't lose because you either get B, the fighting girl, who's really cool, who's really cute, or you get Alistair, who's just really creepy. Either way, you win.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation.
And the DLC kicked ass.
Yes.
The DLC with Clara, the first one, Slowpoke, I really enjoyed it. And now they introduced the DLC where you go to the train station and it opens and a Slowpoke just waddles out
with a yellow head,
plops down. There's a real lot to like in Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good character moments, a lot of good dialogue in it. It's not the best story, I don't think. That's still to come. But it's got a decent story. It's got a twist villain in it.
I mean, kind of a twist. I saw that one coming quite early on.
It's got a mildly twisted villain. A half-eaten Twizzler villain. Alright?
Overall, it's just a good game.
It is. It's a good but flawed game.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
Oh, this is an excellent concept. Mystery Dungeon Red. I mean, Mystery Dungeons weren't a new thing by any means, but it's not something we really got here in England or Europe.
Roguelites. Didn't get a lot of roguelites.
We didn't really get roguelites or
we got Ultima, I suppose.
randomised dungeons. But this is my first foray into them.
Surely our biggest dungeon crawler was Gauntlet, and they're not randomised.
No, not
Jesus.
randomised. You had a few randomised things in Harvest Moon with the mines and stuff, and
Dungeon Master, was that randomised?
possibly. But we
didn't get a lot. You're right.
we didn't. But this was my first proper, entrance into that genre.
This is your first roguelike.
Pretty much, I think.
Awesome. What a good
that comes to the top of my head. I liked the whole, being quite young at the time, and it was just the start of the internet doing the "What Pokemon are you?" quizzes, and it actually introduced that into a Pokemon game.
Yeah,
and you got assigned a random Pokemon depending on how you answered the questions.
And Neckerchief, you get a little.
And the little Neckerchief. I just found that quite an interesting thing. You've got amnesia. You used to be a human, so it explains why you can talk to the Pokemon. It was just quite a cool thing. It was also the first game I think where they had a version exclusive per console.
Yeah, one for DS, one for GBA, right?
Yeah, and seeing as I only knew one or two people who had a DS. I didn't quite have one yet, and I appreciated that I could still play and talk to them about the game, despite not having the new console. You didn't feel behind. It was a nice transition. It was an awesome story. I liked the way you recruited new Pokemon by going through dungeons, beating them, and every now and then they'll just go, "Oh, do you mind if I join you?" Yeah, sure. It had an amazing evil team with Team Meanie.
Yeah, Team Meanie also.
Oh, whenever you got a chance to kick their butts, you just kind of felt so. It was. what's the word I'm trying to look for? Satisfying. Um,
Going back to the version exclusive thing.
yes. Yeah.
Because there used to be a lot of times you'd have the same game ported to different systems,
Yeah.
and there would be a definite hierarchy of quality.
Yeah.
Like even for really similar systems like the Intellivision and the 2600.
The movie movie games like Spider-Man and
Or
Shrek
Alien
and,
3 had about 30.
yeah, well, they weren't as good on GBA, and then you get a good
Yeah,
version on
but
DS or vice versa.
Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue, they felt, although obviously Blue was technically more superior, technically advanced.
Yeah.
They
2
felt,
screens for one.
I don't ever remember that hierarchy being there. They felt equal.
Yeah, I still looking. I've played both to completion. Not once. I still can't think of. Oh, I don't remember that being as good or that being as good.
Yeah, like,
They blur into one quite easily.
because even with little things like Gauntlet or Frogger or something,
Yeah.
you would still get that hierarchy for very simple games. But this didn't have that. They were equals.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
They're just such great games. Red is my choice because it was the one I played. I had a Game Boy Advance.
And you get the red team are pretty cool. You get Charmander on the red.
Yeah, and I like the colours. The colour.
You like red.
But I appreciate the newer Mystery Dungeon games are objectively better, but this one's just got so much nostalgia for me.
Yeah, it's fun.
The city I love, but I've just got such a fondness for this one, and just don't fuck with Kecleon. That
was this on. They had the shopkeepers in
this
one
was
as well.
they were shopkeepers, but they also appeared as shopkeepers in the dungeons, and they had a little blanket laid out with a few items on. And if you picked up an item and then walked off the blanket without paying, they would come for you.
They would. Mystery Dungeon is what made me like Kecleon. I
Yeah.
love the shopkeeper Kecleons. They're so
Kecleons. And as someone who loves side missions, just having being able to choose what side missions you want to do and choose what dungeon you want to go into, and depending on what missions you do, you get new experience, new Pokemon unlocked, new items. It's just a really good system.
They're very good roguelikes.
Really good.
The thing that reminded me of the most is Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
They're a great entry to the genre.
Yeah. I mean, this was the one when making the list, I thought, I kind of want to go play that now. Which you think it would make it number one, but I'll explain later why it isn't. But it's just such a good game.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
Scott, what's your number 7?
It's new Pokemon Snap.
Oh,
You might have seen it before.
never heard of it.
No?
No.
It's alright.
Why is it your number 7, Scott?
Because like yourself, I grew up playing Pokemon Snap, the original,
Yep.
and longing for a sequel with all my favourite Pokemon from later genres. From later games.
Later games. Yeah.
I would have thought we'd have got one for the GameCube, at least.
You'd have hoped.
Because the GameCube was desperate for Killer App spelling.
Yeah.
But I waited and we got it, and it lived up to my expectations.
Yep.
And for that alone, it should be in my top 10 because I had pretty high expectations after Pokemon Snap. And new Snap it's everything that was good about Pokemon Snap, but better.
I still need to 100% it. I've completed the story, but I need to go and unlock all the missions.
It's basically a Pokemon dark ride.
Yep.
That you can ride over and over again at home or on a bus, wherever you want. It's on Switch, wherever your Switch is, and you can ride it over and over, and you see new things.
Every time.
Not necessarily every time, but a lot of the time.
Most of the time.
There's loads of little things to do, and the selection of Pokemon's fantastic. It's weird at times. You do sort of play it and think, really? You've Corsolas in this? Of all the Pokemon, I love Corsola, but
I hadn't thought of the... Yeah, it's very much theme parky. It's got that kind of dark ride route to it.
It has that sense of wonder that you get from Stadium when you were a kid. I mean, this isn't... You don't need nostalgia to get the sense of wonder from this. This is great graphics.
You don't even need to really play Pokemon before.
No, because there are, like, when Wailord comes up, or when Tyrantrum breaks in, or...
You'd just be like, oh, look, what's that? That's cute. You know, it's...
And you can shrink at one point.
Yes.
And that's great. I can't remember, who was the Pokemon you see there? It was Torterra.
Yeah.
You shrink and go and get Torterras. Like Ankylosauruses with trees on them. And you're tiny. And the sense of wonder is there no matter who you are or what you are. It's there the whole time, and it's nice to. A lot of people don't. A lot of people like Pokemon, but a lot of people don't understand. My dad doesn't get it. He loves anime, but he's never got Pokemon.
No.
He's never got that sense of wonder. And there was a comic book released in the 90s called Marvels, and it was fully painted. It was by Alex Ross and Kurt Busiek. That's no, Alex Ross and Kurt, who went on to Astro City and Avengers. And because of the way Ross had painted it and the way it was shot, essentially, the way it was laid out, it allowed people to experience the sense of wonder that comic book fans got from comics anyway, from the Silver Age comics. Now we've got the MCU, which taught them that without reading, without having to read. But that was what was so good about Marvels, was that you could give it to someone and they get it. They would get Galactus, the scale of Galactus, or how impressive the Silver Surfer was, or how tragic and beautiful Gwen Stacy was, all this sort of stuff. Pokemon Snap is that for Pokemon. New Pokemon Snap is that, but better.
It's a nice introduction to the series. If you're not really into RPGs, but you're like, oh, that Pokemon's cute, I want to see more of that. It's a very good.
Like, you can give this to my dad, and he will be impressed with animals swimming above you and
the graphics
flying around you. He'll get why Magikarp is funny, why Quagsire is so
dumb.
Yeah, why Quagsire is an idiot. Because there's
and it's got that arcadey feel of trying to get a high score. Like
it has the perfect arcade gameplay design, which is easy to learn, difficult to master.
Yes.
And it's got that replayability, which is that rare replayability where not just because of the game design, you're not just doing it for a score, but it has a replayability based on the fact that you want to re-experience it, you want to replay it, you want to go back into the world,
being immersed in the world.
And I want to watch Corsola get into a rabbit.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
So, my number 7, Pokemon Colosseum. This is
expensive.
Now it is. I mean, I got this when I got my GameCube. It came free with it. Back when you used to get bundles for new consoles.
Yeah.
I
absolutely hate you. I paid about 60 quid for this game.
But Pokemon Colosseum was an amazing 3D game.
It's great. Pokemon's really good.
I loved this game because
this was the first proper 3D Pokemon game.
It was the first one with a story.
Yeah.
Because
this is Aura.
Yeah,
most miserable place in the Pokemon world.
It's post-apocalyptic, which was an interesting for a Pokemon game.
It's such a miserable place. It's based on Arizona or something.
Yeah, I've been kind of wanting a dark game because they always allude to a Pokemon war that happened.
Yeah, there's these little dark undertones, but it's not.
There's Lieutenant Surge, who used to fight in the Pokemon Wars, but they never have any kind of wartime games. This one felt quite post-apocalyptic. You're going through like a barren wasteland. It's not Team Rocket, is it?
Oh, what is it? It's what they call it? Is it Mirror B's boys?
It's Mirror B's team. I've forgotten what the team's called. That's awful. We'll have
Fault
Monkey pop up in the bottom. But what I really liked about this was the introduction of Shadow Pokemon. You're rescuing them from Team Rocket. It had a full story. You couldn't catch Pokemon in the wild, but you could steal them back from Team Rocket, or you could transfer them from one of your mainline games.
They basically found a way to make you a Pokemon thief.
Yeah, but for justice.
Yeah, but frame it in a really good way, because everyone wanted to steal other people's Pokemon.
Yeah. You start with 2 starters, and one of them's my favourite boy, Umbreon.
Yeah.
And I love Espeon as well. I mean, I love all the evolutions, but Umbreon's my boy. So having them two, it was amazing. Great story. It's just hard not to to find fault with it. It felt slow in some places, I guess, but there were awesome villains. Like Mirror B was so entertaining.
Mirror B's Ludicolo.
Giant afro dancing around, sending out Ludicolos, just being a menace.
My fan theory is that he's one of Jimmy T's family from WarioWare.
But also I love the Battle Tower. I'm not
Yeah,
normally a fan of those, but trying to get to floor 100 was so fun and challenging. There's just weren't much to hate. Uh, a lot of Gen 2 and Gen 3 made it into the game. So
Yeah, it was Gen 3's 3D. It was Gen 3
yeah, it was
Stadium,
Gen 3
really.
Stadium in a way, except it had
I can't
story
even
and
play this.
yeah. But
I really like it.
I didn't have Gala Darkness XD,
Gala Darkness is good, but it's so expensive.
and it starts quite slow as well. I didn't actually know it existed until about a year or two after I'd gotten rid of my GameCube.
I think I do prefer Colosseum. I think a lot of people think XD's better.
It's got Shadow.
It's got Shadow
Lugia.
Lugia. I love
Yeah.
Lugia, but I don't know. I think Colosseum would go above it. I think.
There are better games. That's why it's not any higher. But I've always got a soft spot. It reminds me of 2005, which was a great year for games, great year for music, great year for TV shows. And so I think I kind of wrap this all up into listening to Rasmus and playing
I like
Pokemon
Rasmus.
Colosseum.
Dead Letters is a good album.
Yeah. So
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
It's Emerald.
it's Emerald.
It's the best third version, isn't it?
So
It just is.
in our 10 to 6, we've had 2 games that have appeared twice.
Which shows you either how good the Pokemon series is or how inconsistent it is.
Or how bad our taste is.
Oh,
You know,
possibly.
we've got to factor that in as well.
But we're up to number 6 and 7, and we're just ranking them in personal preference now. There's no bad anymore.
No.
After the new Pokemon Snap, for me, it's just I like this mildly better, often for absolutely pathetic reasons. Like, Emerald it's the best third version. It takes everything that was good about the original version and it polishes it up.
Yep.
And it deals with most of the problems except for the extensive amount of sea routes. But it does do a little bit with that. But you can't help that, I suppose. And then it adds and it adds and it adds. It brings the Battle Tower back. I love the Battle Tower.
I do like the Battle Tower.
It's probably because of Stadium. I will spend hours battling.
Yep.
I really enjoy it. It merged both of the games together. Fire Emblem needs these sort of third versions, really. It merged both of the stories together. It became the ultimate version of that generation. Maxi and Archie were both in it.
Yes.
I do wish, having played Oraz, I like Oraz a lot, and I do like Oraz' redesigns for a lot of the characters. But not for May and Brendan. I like May and Brendan's original design.
The original design. I think I do miss the sprites being 2D a bit.
I was never that fond of the GBA sort of general art style.
Really?
I never really liked it as much. Not for Pokemon or for Mario or anything. There was just something.
I feel like some of the 3D sprites are a bit lifeless.
But we are at that point where I am going. I like the sprites better on the other one to organise the list because there's nothing wrong with Emerald at all. Emerald's a fantastic game.
It's a great game.
It's probably the best value for money third version as well because it really does feel like 2 games in one.
Yeah.
And you get Rayquaza and Deoxys as well. Sometimes it really does just have to come down to the fact that I like Crash Awake, I like Flannery, and I like Rayquaza, so it's better than Pokemon Snap.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
My number 6 is the trading card game.
Yay!
Yay! Third one to appear twice on the list. I was addicted to this game. For all the reasons we've already mentioned. The being able to play alone, the learning the rules, but it also went above and beyond. It could have easily just been like 50 battles in a row, slowly unlocking packs.
They
had a
Pokemon
story.
game. Yeah.
They had a story. They had gym leaders with where you still had to beat 2 trainers before you beat them.
Yeah, I loved it. It was like Pokemon, but with the trading cards.
Every time you won, you got a new pack to open. Slowly building up your deck, you could have several different decks because you needed them to beat different gym leaders. Gym leaders were good. They were very good players. So some of them were quite challenging. You had Team Rocket.
I've never hated Koga before or after as much.
Team Rocket was still in it. I actually bought the cartridge to this again last year at a toy fair.
I was with you.
You were with me because I saw it. It was £10, and I was like, I have to have that.
That was where I bought that large Mewtwo from that twat.
Yes, that was where you bought that Mewtwo.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
If you're selling at a convention or toy fair or a boot sale or whatever, if you're one of those people who doesn't price anything, right, and then just looks it up on eBay
in front of people,
in front of the person who's asking you the price,
yeah,
you're a prick,
yeah.
right? You are.
If you
I immediately judge you as a bad person. Just
do your research.
just price it. It doesn't matter that much. If you lose £2 on the eBay price, it doesn't matter. You are putting money above everything.
Your lack of preparation isn't worth wasting someone else's time.
It is. It is as well. That is that makes it even worse. Is it? You are wasting my time to tell me a price that I'm not gonna pay.
In fact, you're slowing yourself down, getting money from other people, because while you're looking that up, other people are waiting to buy stuff from you.
I bought the Mewtwo off this bloke. It was a fair price, but there was a queue of 3 people.
I went to buy something from him. It is a Dragon Quest metal Cyclops.
It would have been good.
And I love Dragon Quest. You don't get much of it right over here. And I said, "How much is this?" And he went, "Oh, let me just look it up." Saw the price. Went, "Oh, actually, I'm not selling that here." Because I think he realised how much it was.
You could get more.
I wasn't buying it for that. I was buying it because I genuinely like it and want it, and I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah, there's an immoralness to it that really winds me up.
It did annoy us.
Well,
that was a sequel.
Sorry, end sidebar.
End sidebar. Unfortunately, we won't. Now that we've got TCG Online, both as a app and a website, you're just not going to get.
It's a terrible shame because
they unfortunately Nintendo just think you want to play games with other people, and I don't. I want to play.
I don't like people.
I just want to play card games against a computer.
I like about
have a bit
6
of story.
people. You're one of them.
Yeah.
I'm not one of the people I like.
I don't play. It's one of those games with the TCG where now anyone who plays the TCG does it competitively. Yeah. I am not competitive. I want to play with a deck of cards of my favourite Pokemon.
I want to play with your deck.
I want to get my deck out. I don't want to just play with whatever cards in the meta at the moment.
No, that's true.
I just don't find that fun.
Mm.
And yeah,
I want a deck full of war turtles. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. So yeah, this would be higher if the second one came out, and but as it stands,
what? It would be higher if the second one came out. Is that English?
If the second game was released in Europe, I would probably have played the second one and hope if they made a third one, and then that would keep re-triggering the nostalgia and making me play it more often.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. It sounded like nonsense, but it was.
I'd probably play the third one and then go, "Do you know what? I actually fancy going back and playing the first one again."
That is true because I will play Sword and Shield and then go and play Red and Blue.
Yeah.
You know
so
what? Yes.
It would probably trigger it to maybe move that up at least one space, but yeah, as it stands, I can't put it above number 6.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
Do you think this is a bit low?
It might be low for you. You don't play it as much as
I'm not as serious. It's Pokemon Go.
It's Pokemon Go,
which sounds silly.
Some people may wonder why does this even count, but it's still a Pokemon game.
It's official. The fact is that I know on this I sound like, well, a thug. I have a very thick Essex accent. I sound like I look like I beat people up for money, but I suffer from really quite bad anxiety, and I really have trouble travelling.
Yeah.
Especially on my own. So I'll do me bits to work around it. I've got my playlists to help me get through. But Pokemon Go has made travelling so much easier. And someone's going to say, yeah, well, that's true for any fucking
app or
any
game.
Augmented reality game. It's true for Candy Crush. Yeah, but I really, really like Pokemon. If you haven't guessed it yet, I really, really like Pokemon. Alright?
And Pokemon actively requires you to travel.
Yeah, and it's based entirely around travelling. But it does. It makes it so much easier to get around. I can ignore the world and catch Growlithes. It's made my life better and easier with Geodudes. Away from just helping me deal with my issues, there are good stuff to like about it. For a free-to-play mobile game, you can play it without really spending any money.
Yeah, I mean, they do introduce a bit of FOMO here and there, which is one of the things I don't like about it.
Yeah,
but you can, by all intents and purposes, play it.
There's no
without paying.
You're really not locked out at any. There's no real paywall.
Everything becomes free eventually.
Yeah.
And unless you're trying to actively play the battle modes, like against other people, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but even then, you still become more powerful
There isn't any
by doing something for free,
there isn't any form of currency or that in the game that you can't slowly earn.
or that you really need to earn, unless you're really bothered about hatching like 6 eggs.
Yeah, you can hatch one egg at a time with a free incubator.
Yeah.
You can put Pokemon in gyms to get coins that you can then buy
If
more
you
bag
want-
space. If
really,
you want. Or-
really, it's bag space and Pokemon storage.
yeah, they're
but-
the hardest things.
By the time
Possibly raid passes, but you also get one of those for free a day if you go to it in person.
again, unless you're really desperate to do like 6 raids a day, I do 1 raid a day at the most, and I'm happy with it. It makes you appreciate a lot of different Pokemon. There are Pokemon that I didn't like at all. After trying to catch them and evolve them in Pokemon Go, I really warmed to them.
I introduced my wife to Pokemon through Pokemon Go. She only really knew Pikachu and that before that, but her favourite Pokemon now are pretty much Pikachu clones and Haxorus.
And that is entirely because of Pokemon
And that is
Go.
completely because she had to use it because it was her strongest Pokemon, and now she just loves
It's
Haxorus.
true. Like, Sunflora. I used to have Sunflora. Sunflora kicked ass.
Yeah,
Like,
Sunflower's cool.
That's nothing like what Sunflora is in the main game.
No,
Like,
it's just one of the weakest
Yeah.
Pokemon in the main games.
I don't remember the last time I even caught a Sunken, let alone raised one.
Yesterday was a community day, which again, free event. You can buy a ticket to get a few extra
Yeah, it's bits and
missions,
bobs, isn't it?
but I never really bother
It
with
doesn't
those.
stop you catching lots of poor me or
Yeah.
lots of shiny poor me. does it?
Sometimes I might put £5 on the game to get a few incubators just to walk, because I'm walking around a lot.
Community days are good because they are a good excuse to meet your friends.
They
Hang out
are.
with your mates. You can
Again,
just-
having those sort of events that happen once a month is a good excuse to meet up with friends that you might not otherwise think to meet up with.
And I will say this: Pokemon Go handled COVID
Excellently.
really well. They
For a game that's pretty much fully based around going outside, they did wonders to make you still
Ju-
play the game and keep you entertained.
just little things like the remote raid passes, just extending the distance you need to be between yourself and Pokestops and stuff to activate
For
them.
anyone who doesn't know, there are Pokestops dotted around the world that you spin and you get a few items and a bit of experience.
You can use-
And there's also gyms which you can either put Pokemon in, or there'll be raids which are Pokemon that you have to defeat with a certain amount. You can't do them on your own for the most part. You need a certain amount of people, which obviously if you can't meet up during COVID is a bit difficult.
Yeah, but they changed it all so that you could do it from home.
Do
Basically,
it remotely. You could find a nearby raid that's going to happen and jump in from a distance.
it was so well handled, and yeah, I owe it one.
Yeah.
So sorted.
It got everyone in the local Pokemon group chat going, is anyone doing this? Do you want a 5-minute break from being stuck in
It really did help.
your own head?
Help getting through the pandemic.
They really did.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
My number 5 is Pokemon Stadium. It's we've spoke about it already, but it's an excellent game. As Scott said, there's just a bunch of nostalgia bait from the opening scenes to, for me, the announcer was just
I'd forgotten
so
about his announcer
super
for a minute.
infused. Oh, it's a critical hit.
He was well up for it. I really like him.
Like he was
the Jim Ross of Pokemon announcer.
like he was narrating football, but like
Savage attack. A savage hit.
I think that the story is the announcer hadn't actually really paid much attention to Pokemon. He was just reading out lines, but just doing it so enthusiastically.
But he wouldn't do it because you'd be on like the little company. You'd have like Weedle fighting Kakuna, and he'd be off on one.
Like off on one, just
like Stone
cheering
Cold
you
Steve
on.
Austin fighting The Rock for the belt. Like it was well good.
but the music, the sound effects, the announcer, it was just excellent. The battles were done in such a way that you did gym by gym.
I really
and
liked that they were there.
Where it was like a path, it felt like you were actually going for a gauntlet,
It actually had a pretty
like
good
leading up to the
use.
castle where the Elite Four were.
It was a pretty good use of Pokemon's iconography at the time.
Yeah,
Because you would play and go, oh, it's that.
for the most part, you had to use rental Pokemon, so they had 150 Pokemon each with 4 set moves, and you had to like choose what 6 you were going to
All I
use
ever got was
against
Jinx.
the gyms. But you could also transfer Pokemon of your own from the Red or Blue
That's what I
games,
used to do.
which was amazing. I mean, who didn't just transfer a team of 6 Mewtwo's from their mainline games?
Were you Jennings, sir? Were you using Action Replay?
I wasn't using any Game Shark. There was the Masingo trick
Oh, fair enough.
where you could clone Pokemon or items. So
Yeah.
you just clone 6 of Mewtwo, just different moves on him because he can learn pretty much every move in the game, and just dominate the Elite Four.
That trick was nice because that trick allowed you to achieve the most powerful of all Pokemon, a level 100 Weedle.
Level 100 Weedle. But the other great thing about this game is emulation. You could basically play Pokemon Red and Blue on Pokemon Stadium.
You plug it into the back of the controller and you could play it in the Pokemon Tower.
We could only afford one game, so we'd keep switching the Game Boy. This meant we didn't have to do that. We could just put it on the screen and just both play at the same time.
Because the Game Boy could connect to the telly.
Yeah.
But that was a separate peripheral, and that was like 20 something quid, 30 quid. You could just skip paying that and just play it through.
And just play it through Pokemon Stadium. And the other great thing about the emulator is you could speed up the emulation.
Yeah, you still go.
One of the bad things about the original Pokemon games that they were very slow to level up. You only got 1 XP share.
And slow walking speed.
And slow walking speed.
As well.
So suddenly zipping around to level up
It was pretty fun.
was amazing. You got through the game pretty quick. Also, you didn't have backlight on the original Game Boy or Game Boy Color. You had to buy a separate bit of equipment which magnified your screen and shone a light on it.
My Game Boy was my mum's, and she had it for a hospital stay originally. So she had that horrible chunk lock on light up light. It is Fort Monkey. You put it up. It is
heavy.
It's useless. It's like staring through a fishbowl that someone's shining a spotlight through. It's absolute cack.
But if you wanted to play any Game Boy or Game Boy Color game at night or in a car, or in a dark place, you had to have it. Also, what's great about this game was the mini games. I know you like the mini games of the second Pokemon Stadium, but
no, I really like the first one. The first game's mini games are great.
The metallic effect they had whenever a Pokemon did harden, so in the Kakuna game was awesome. You had Licky Tongue, which having them eat sushi and accidentally eat a curry and burn their tongue was.
I like Licky Tongue. What made me like Licky Tongue was his jungle card in the jungle expansion. It was a really cool picture. But then you could feed him hot curries and watch him run around in stadium, and I was like, yeah, I like him. He's all right with me.
He's all right. So not only you've got the nostalgia, but you've got the replayability. You've got the added fact that you could play Game Boy games on it.
The nostalgia.
The mini games. The nostalgia. The announcer. The nostalgia.
No, the announcer's cool without nostalgia.
The announcer's cool without.
Oh, it's now. Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
Scott, what's your number 4?
It is Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire.
Ruby and Sapphire, the second one.
Because, again, it's everything that was good about the first game, but improved.
Yeah.
With 2 more gens of Pokemon. It's got better graphics. It's got better tables. The tables in general are a nicer layout. I think it's pinball with Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's why.
Nothing bad about it.
I like.
Excellent.
I really like the 8 to 16-bit pinball games. I enjoy playing them. Things like Pinbot and Devil's Crash and all that. But it's one of them
with Pokemon.
Given a Pokemon coat of paint, and it's better than the previous one because it's got better graphics and more Pokemon.
It had so much life to it as well.
It's a very vibrant, very fun game. I really like the little dancing Illuminate and Volbeat that dance on, do the little thing.
You accidentally hit the Mackie Heater and he punches the ball away.
Yeah. It's a good 16-bit pinball game in and of itself.
Yes.
Then it's got Pokemon. Then it's got the catch and hatch mechanic put on top, which was a really good way to integrate that into Pokemon.
Deciding what route you wanted to go.
Rather.
Whether you wanted to try and catch all the Pokemon or hatch them, and you got different bonuses depending.
Yeah, and it makes the game even like pinball's quite tense because you're always worried about losing. I'm always worried about losing the balls. And it added another layer of tenseness because you don't want, you finally get a Pokemon you're missing or one of the rarer Pokemon or one of your favourites. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to lose it.
The replayability as well, because obviously every time you catch different Pokemon. And you just want to see them all and go to different areas. And
it keeps you coming back over and over again. I haven't, even with a Pokemon I don't like, I haven't seen Manectric yet. I really would like to see that,
But it's just overall a solid game.
It is great. I know we are going to see it again.
Yeah, I'm not. No spoilers, but. Yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
So my number 4, it's Pokemon Go. I know it wasn't much further down for you. It's just number 5 for you, but for me, really, by all accounts, it should be higher. I mean, I made so many friends in my area through the raids mechanic. Basically, every Tuesday, for an hour, every gym would become a raid, and I bumped into a bunch of people, and just after that, every Tuesday we'd just meet up and go from one gym to the other for about an hour, doing it.
Yeah.
Made a lot of friends. One of which offered to collect shopping for me during the pandemic, which again I wouldn't have had that sort of support. Luckily, I didn't need it, but it was nice to have the offer. It got me exploring London, so I never really went to London much. But me and my sister, when we started playing Pokemon Go, originally you didn't get much in your local area, but you had nests. So each park would be a nest for a certain Pokemon for a while, and it would rotate.
A lot
so
of parks in London.
We'd randomly go to St James's or Temple, and that got me loving exploring London. And now I'm trying to tick off visiting every station in London. I've done about 3/4 of them and seen new things. It got me. Yeah, it got me the exploring bug. Excuse to meet up with new friends. I wouldn't be doing this podcast with Scott if it weren't for Pokemon.
Yeah.
I was playing Pokemon Go, realised my brother's friend was also playing, so started meeting up with her. She introduced me to her friends, one of which is now my wife,
and that was
one of which is this pillar. So I owe a lot to Pokemon Go.
It shows how good it is at making you meet people.
Yeah.
Which is something that Pokemon was always
meant to do.
Yeah, it was always pushing that interactivity element. They really wanted you to interact and use it as a reason to interact.
They're constantly upgrading stuff. Unfortunately, Niantic have just sold it, so I am a bit wary of how it's going. It was already getting a bit microtransaction heavy, which is why it's only number 4.
But again, they are almost all optional. There's
a lot of them are optional.
Because I don't pay for nothing.
No.
And I still play it just fine.
But it can get a bit stale between events if you don't now and then chip in a bit.
I think that's a bit unfair because they are continually adding new Pokemon.
They are.
They rotate what Pokemon you can get. They continue to add new shinies.
They do add new shinies with the community days. Which again,
I get what you mean. You can get a lull every so often of interest. But again, if you're playing it like I do for therapy,
you play it quite infrequently though. If you
I
play it every day on the way to work, or
I play it whenever I need to travel
on the way to the shops.
Really, so.
Yeah, but it is a great game.
It's nice.
It brings people together. It gets you out exercising. It really helped during lockdown, as we've already mentioned.
They're really good during lockdown.
They did a really great job with that, and it's also brought me closer to my wife in the sense of she didn't really pay much attention to Pokemon until me and her other friends kept going out to play the community
kept
days.
leaving her behind.
Then she thought, I'll just give it a try.
Because his wife is one of my best friends as well.
He's known my wife longer than I have.
Yeah.
It made her want to get involved, and now she absolutely adores Pokemon.
Right, it's completely corrupted her. It's well good.
Both fortunately and unfortunately for me means I've got no more room on my shelves. But
his wife likes merch, and there's many merch for Pokemon.
It's just an excellent little game. It can't be higher on the list because there are microtransactions. It is weather dependent a lot of the time.
Yeah, there are.
And it's not. It isn't a mainline story game, or it's.
I don't know. Is that a reason to not mark it?
No, it's not. But I mean, it would feel wrong to put it at number 1.
I just want Tekken tag tournaments are a lot generally better liked than Tekken 1 and 2.
Oh, but not Tekken 3.
Well, no, that'd be silly.
Well, that's what I mean.
3's got
okay, this is the Tekken Tag Tournament of Pokemon.
Yeah, there you are.
It is a very.
Are you saying that this game would be better if you could catch Gon?
Yes. It is a very good Pokemon Gon. It's
just all gone.
It's all gone. It's a very good game, but there is always the chance that one day all the hard work you've put on it can just be taken away
That is true.
when they decide no longer to support it.
That's true.
So I can't put it higher than number 4.
It's been going for a long time.
2016.
Had a good run out.
It's nearly been a decade.
That's well good. Isn't it?
So it's awesome, but unfortunately, I have to have it at number 4.
I get it.
I have to.
Mine was one below.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot about me that the game designed for social interaction is below the pinball game that I can sit and play at home in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, on the plus side, it helped me meet this guy. On the downside, it made me meet this guy.
Yeah.
So, ups and downs.
It swings and roundabouts.
Swings and roundabouts.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
Scott, what's your number 3?
It's the original. Well, it's not the originals. It's the originals, but it's not.
The
is
originals.
It? Because the originals are very different in Japan.
The originals are red and
green,
Yeah.
which are quite different. Pokemon Red and Blue are based on Pokemon Blue version
Yes.
from Japan. But just so everyone knows that I know that you know I know,
We know things.
There's a lot wrong with. I know. All right. Yes, they're very flawed. There are all sorts of issues. There are genuine glitches. There are also just cock-ups. I know that the ghost types aren't a counterbalance to psychic types.
In case anyone wondered, there is only one counter to psychic type Pokemon.
There's 2.
Was there 2?
Bugs.
Bugs.
The bugs are useless.
Sorry, you are right. Bugs are useless. The main counter to psychic type Pokemon was meant to be ghosts. There are only 3 ghost type Pokemon in the first gen, and that is Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar.
And what they did was
But
they messed up and gave the ghost types a
Poison.
poison subtype,
Yeah.
secondary type rather.
which is weak to psychic.
So they're useless.
They're absolutely useless against psychics, which was their main job. But yeah, there was the ghost falls up.
It's very flawed. Rap's overpowered. There's all sorts of mistakes, and they were squeezing a giant game into a Game Boy cartridge.
Yeah, the artwork was for the most part atrocious.
I love it.
I love it for nostalgia reasons, but half the Pokemon don't look like what they're meant to look like,
Cute roundy Charizard or
and what they're meant to look like.
or evil fetus Mew.
Yeah,
I love the way Pokemon Red and Blue look.
yeah,
It's like peering into this weird alien world. Part of that's the hardware limitations of the Game Boy. I know it's the Game Boy screen and the limitations of the sprites you can do and such. I know this, but it just looks really alien and
it looked like Pokemon meets Mother 3
it
or
did.
Earthbound.
Earthbound, yeah.
Hidden.
It has that oddness to it, which I like. I like that weird look. But this is my nostalgia pick. I was there from Gen 1. It's the game that made me like an entire franchise.
Yeah,
And it's fun enough the game that I replay the most. But it's a little bit of an unfair compliment because it's the game that's existed the longest. So yeah, probably. It's not that surprising. But it is the mainline game I replay the most.
that's a fair.
Even though it's a bit, the walking
Right.
speed is a bit slow. It's quite a short game. It hasn't got much post game, but in terms of overall design, it's very nicely done. Obviously, there are design oversights like the ghosts, but generally the whole layout and progression,
yeah, I mean,
it's nice. And
needing to unlock the HMs.
this is a game. This is a Game Boy game, right? This was made on hardware that was purposely outdated in 1989 because Gunpei Yokoi, who built it, had this thing about the practical application of withered technology, I think he called it. He built the Game & Watches as well.
Yeah,
And the idea was to use cheap but out of date technology to make a new system that was thus affordable, cheap to produce, but was still enjoyable. And this Pokemon was made, it's a huge game anyway, into this tiny box with this really limited hardware. And it's got 2 genuinely creepy locations.
Sylph Tower.
It's got Pokemon Tower and the old mansion.
Yeah.
Right? To create genuine atmosphere on what amounts to the screen from a microwave. And the missing note is, you know Linkara, the comic reviewer?
Yes.
He made Missing No a villain in his little pathetic little pantomime stories that he does. He's not a good actor, that boy. But his point was that he was playing Pokemon and he's just surfing on by Cinnabar and bam, Missing No. Missing No is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's not even remotely human or animal. It's a block of graphics. It's completely alien. As glitchy as go, it may be the best glitch of all time because it's frightening and it's really useful.
But it also, it's useful. It unlocks a lot of cheats.
Yeah,
that you can do in the game.
You do the items. You catch Mew.
Yeah.
You can. He's not under a truck.
You can duplicate items. You can duplicate Pokemon. Rare candy cheat, which meant you could quickly get to level 100 with all your Pokemon.
If you're level 100 with Weedle, essentially.
Yeah. You also, I used to call it missing go because I thought that's what it was. I didn't realise it was missing number.
Missing no. Yeah.
But it's the best accidental glitch.
It's true, and that's another reason for it to be on. Is it's got one of, if not the best glitches in video game history.
They're just charming games.
They are. They are very flawed, but I like playing them so much. It don't matter. I don't. Again, I hate rap as well. The move, not the musical genre.
Wow, cancelled.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
Number 3. My number 3 is Fire Red. I prefer it over Red. Fuck you.
That's what I'm going with.
That's what we're going with.
That's the edit.
That's what we're going with. Fight me.
It's objectively better than Red.
Fuck off. You can take your Missingo and stick it up your dick.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 are the best written Pokemon games. Fight Me in the Car Park.
I will fight you in a car park. What car park? Sainsbury's open?
That's a bit unmarked. You can do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't fight in an Audi car park. That's rough.
Can't afford to fight in a Waitrose car park.
Do you reckon you ever fight in a Waitrose car park? You have to use asparagus as weapons.
It's a duel to the death. Asparagus.
It's Pokemon Black and White.
Best written games, okay.
They are the best written Pokemon games. They've got the best written story. They've got the best villains. Sorry, but I like Giovanni. He's a good lad.
Yeah.
But Getis is a complete monster, and N is wonderfully written. He just really is.
Yeah, but Giovanni's a bad dad.
Getis is a worse dad.
Okay.
Getis indoctrinated his child into a cult that he doesn't even believe in. He just wants power, but he's convinced this poor little boy that he's doing it all for the good of the Pokemon. So N's right in a way. N thinks Pokemon shouldn't be treated badly.
Yeah.
But he's also not right, because the stuff he's saying is nonsense. I know it's Peter and that sort of stuff, but unlike Peter, N's reasonable.
Yeah. And
likeable. And green. There are quite a few features that have sort of dropped out of functionality now, but there's always going to be some of those interactivity features that drops out.
Yeah,
I know people bring that up quite a bit.
Internet features and trading features
but those are supplementary features. They're add-ons. They're bits stuck onto the side.
They don't affect the main game.
The core experience of playing the Pokemon game, going through it, experiencing the story, raising your team, battling others, that'll still work. So that's all. I don't care about that. Gym leaders are good in this. I like a lot of gym leaders. I am quite biased depending on who the gym leaders are. Like Ultra Sun and Moon. I was like, I really like the villains, but I can't remember a single trial captain. Oh yeah, I can remember the little girl with the purple hair. I don't know her name. She had Mimikyu. Whereas I like Elsa, I like Clay, I like Skylar, I like Bryson, the ninja superhero guy.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. I like the player characters in this one. I like Hilda and Hilbert.
Yes.
And I want to hug Bianca. I like limited Pokédexes.
Yeah.
I said it about the Brexit thing, but limiting the Pokédex forces you to use new Pokemon or Pokemon you wouldn't normally use, and allows you to become better at the game, and allows you to just expand your Pokemon repertoire. Like, it allows you to find new favourites and new Pokemon you like.
Rather than just using Gen 1.
Rather than just using your starter and God of War.
Was this the one where you unlocked them post game?
Yeah, National Dex. So you beat the Elite Four.
And then you could catch
you can get like
So I like that. It feels like it's kind of similar to gold and silver, except you can catch all 250 anywhere. But
It's also how regions of the world work.
yeah,
You can't catch lions over here, funnily enough.
you could, but you'd have to break into a very good zoo.
I guess called a safari zone.
Chucking rocks at the lions, they don't like that.
Nah.
London Zoo will kick you out.
And this did that. This fully limited you, whole new 151. But in execution, there was a lot of what I've dubbed equivalent mons. A lot of crutch designs they brought out.
Because they
It's
tried,
just Geodude again. It's just Chansey again.
but it felt like they were intentionally doing that, weren't they? They were trying to make a new version of this, a new version of that.
My conspiracy theory.
It felt like a
This has
reboot.
got no evidence backing up at all. My conspiracy theory is that they were designing a regular new generation of Pokemon, and that's where the more unique, that's where people like Rufflet and Braviary
Yeah.
and Mandibuzz and Golett and all that come from. And then it come down, no, we've made the decision to make it an entirely new 151. So they quickly made Roggenrola and Aldino, because apparently Game Freak can't cope without a Zubat and Geodude. But so yes, it's a good idea, and I actually like something like Woobat and Swoobat are adorable.
I love Sweetbutt.
I quite like Roggenrola and Boulder and Gigalith as well. I don't
I'm
dislike
not a
them.
massive fan of Timber.
No, it's those
Fine.
veins.
Yeah,
No, I don't like them.
didn't work for me.
The Goths are alright. The equivalents for Curlier and Rounce and that.
Yeah, they're alright.
But yeah, what I really like that they forced me to do it, and I did enjoy it. Good idea, not so good in execution. Also, I suppose the downside of that is that if you're forced to solely use an entirely new set of Pokemon, not only do you find new favourites like Blitzel, you also find new enemies.
Ones
also-
that are just pointless, but
you
you
also-
gotta
Like
deal
you
with.
also find new objects of hatred. You get the elemental monkeys or Munna and Mashana.
I hate Machina's design.
That's it. That's my downside.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
My number 2, it's Pinball Ruby and Sapphire.
Wow, this is high. But
This is
please-
very high, but goddamn, if of all the Pokemon games, this is the one that I was well and truly addicted to. I mean, played it non-stop for like a year.
I can totally see why.
I recently went on a family holiday to Spain with I don't go on many family holidays with my family anymore. Like,
Don't like them.
no, it's because now me and the other kids, my siblings have grown up.
Don't like them.
we tend to go on holidays, like one-on-one holidays, quite a lot, but it's very hard to get us all in one room
Because they hate each other.
because we hate each other.
And I keep doing this joke and it gets in the edit. It just
But I have got some younger siblings, and I took my Game Boy with me with this, and during the day it rained. I think we just spent the whole day trying to beat each other's high scores. It introduced my 2 young brothers to Pokemon Pinball. Yeah, and it's just a fun game. You can get competitive, or you can just play on your own. As we already mentioned, I really like the hatch and catch features. The bonus mini game levels, like with the little bosses.
Those little mini games.
You have the Kecleons that go invisible, and you got to try and hit them with a ball.
Why are Kecleons good in all spin-off media?
You got the Kyogre that's really annoying, that keeps freezing the ball,
Yeah.
sucking them into whirlpools, and it's so addicting. It's got a lot of improvements on the original. I really like the smaller cartridge.
Well, the actual physical cartridge.
Yeah,
The original
yeah.
pinball, because it had a rumble feature.
Yeah, it had a rumble feature, and also you had to have a battery in it in order to keep the saves.
Oh, yeah, 'cause it's got that bit at the top.
It's got a bit at the top.
Yeah, the obvious battery shape, yeah.
But it's just a vast improvement. I like the graphics.
And that's a lot, because the original Pokemon Pinball was a solid game.
It's such a solid and simple idea, but that means that although there's all pros, but there's not many cons to it, because there's not much to fault.
Yeah, there's not to talk about.
It's
It's
just
only a
like,
short segment.
it's a good game.
Yeah, it's pinball with Pokemon.
And again, it's that same with Pokemon Snap and maybe the Pokemon TCG if you wanted to. It's a really good entry point into Pokemon.
It is. 'Cause
You don't
get
have to
like-
know what the Pokemon are to just like playing pinball and go, oh, that's cool. What's that?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you look it up later. If
Yeah.
you wanted to. It's just a solid game, and that's all I've got to say.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
Scott, what's your number one?
Number one is the correct answer.
Oh, is it?
It is the correct answer. It's the only answer. This is the first one. This is the one I knew was. They went as placement I knew straight away.
Yeah.
But it's one of my favourite games of all time. And it is Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. They're remakes of Gold and Silver, for those who are not aware. The second Pokemon games, the first Pokemon direct sequels.
Yep.
And the only generation to be a direct sequel to the previous one. Gold and Silver were already incredibly good games. They were very good. They had a slight issue some people didn't like. Some of the new Pokemon were kept until after the second half of the game.
Yeah.
And what it lacked was the second half of the game was also technically the post game, so you didn't have post game, if that makes sense. In the original game, you played a new region, then went back to the first region from the first game to Kanto.
Yeah.
And that was it. It needed that something to do after Kanto,
Yes. Yeah.
and this has got that.
Like
So
trying to get the legendaries or.
yeah,
Like
there wasn't
Mewtwo
anything
and-
like that.
yeah.
This added a whole bunch of post-game stuff. You go after additional Pokemon. They've got the is it the battle tree in this one. They've got a battle zone in this one. So you've got the main issue, the lack of post game from Gold and Silver has been fixed.
Yeah.
That's a good enough reason to make this number one and to kick the original off the list. Because I know what your number one is, by the way.
Carry on.
It's got new music, but you can get the item that allows you to play the older music as well. That's another good reason to get rid of it's got better graphics, and it introduced all of the cross-gen evolutions that were brought in Gen 3 and 4. Well,
true.
they're all available in it. Some of them are locked to the post-game, I believe. And most importantly, perhaps the most important thing of all, it redesigned the Rocket admins so that I could fancy them. Because the redesigns for the Rocket admins are really good, and the main Rocket admin in it, who was just called like Boss in the original game, got a whole personality and became like the number one Pokemon MILF. Oh yeah, of course. I looked at my notes. I completely forgot that, as well as doing all the good stuff from from Gold and Silver, included all the crystal elements, or a lot of crystal elements. It brought in the Suicune story and all that.
Yeah.
And so there's just no reason to play the original Heart Gold and Soul
Oh, is
Silver.
that so? Okay.
And
Yeah.
I know that some people felt that the Pokewalker was a gimmick. It came with this little... That won an award, by the way.
From stupid people.
The Pokewalker, they included a step counter that you could level up your Pokemon with by putting them on this step counter. It's just a little round Pokeball shaped step counter. But it won an award. It won for like the most accurate step counter that year. There are step counter awards, I suppose, but it's not really that necessary. It's just for leveling up. You can level up normally. It's standard as any Pokemon game. There's still the EXP share. You still do the thing where you put the one you want to level up first, then put it out without doing any battling, and put the good one in to beat the Pokemon to get the EXP to share and all of that. It's just an accessory. The only thing you lose out if you haven't got a Pokewalker is you can't sell it for as much, because these games are really expensive now.
Oh, super
They're
expensive.
the dearest of the Pokemon games. Luckily, I bought mine new.
Yeah,
So
I did the same.
So yeah, I really like Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul
Yeah,
Silver.
yeah.
I think it's brilliant. But what's your number one?
Funny enough, a nice segue into my number one.
Well, a friend of mine, he told a friend of mine.
My number one is the original Pokemon Gold.
But it's completely irrelevant. Why would you like that?
And it beats Heart Gold and Soul Silver for nostalgia reasons and the loss of the Walker.
Walker's not necessary.
I know it's not
I
necessary.
accept nostalgia reasons because I have a lot of
But
nostalgia
as
problems.
someone who gets
Go on,
massive amounts of anxiety of losing bits and pieces of toys, I think we've discussed this in previous episodes. of things.
We might have done, yeah.
Having a bit of peripheral that I didn't really use and is easily losable, and now if you want to buy a version of it that comes with it, super expensive, as you just said.
It does knock the price up.
It does knock the price up. I get that a lot of people enjoyed it. I just never really used it much.
Those are people who enjoy walking for fun. They're weirdos.
So it didn't. It's not that it detracts from the game. It just didn't add to the heart, soul, and soul.
And that is true. It's true.
It's not a negative. It's just not a plus.
Don't need it.
No.
It's completely irrelevant.
Yeah. I think again, nostalgia reasons. This was the first game I kind of got at Christmas. I got Red and Blue way later than everyone else. This is the first one me and my brother got at Christmas. It's what made it so that I relate Christmas to Pokemon games.
Yeah, I had this for Sonic.
This Pokemon and Kingdom Hearts are now just that's what I relate to Christmas.
Yeah.
I get them. I play them for like 3 weeks straight during the breaks, and just having that gold shiny box and.
That is true for both versions.
It is true.
They have got the nicest boxes.
They have. I quite like the warm colours of gold.
Their boxes
feel more Christmassy.
Look and feel like the wrappers from expensive chocolates.
Yeah.
They've got really nice boxes. Not best the game any better, but they are nice boxes.
The artwork's done very well. I mean, we got gold for Christmas. Me and my brother shared it until my uncle, who had a Game Boy Color, he bought silver because he had friends at work had told him about it. Played it for about 5 minutes, decided he didn't like it, and then gave it to us.
Excellent.
So then it was the first game that we had one each of as well, which meant we could play it together and swap Pokemon. The soundtrack is, I'd still argue, is the best soundtrack to any Pokemon game. Just the day-night cycle that they introduced was excellent, and the soundtrack changing depending.
And the Pokemon change as well.
The Pokemon change, which like getting Spinarak and Knocktown Hoot Hoot at night, was amazing. And having that nice calm music, because it was linked to the real world as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So if you're playing it at night, the music would be gentler and it'll allow you to sleep.
It was really cool. And I like sort of staying up till late to catch Honchkrow.
Yeah, just getting ready for bed, having like one last hour of playing, having the music kind of lull you to sleep. It's lovely.
It's a good introduction.
It was the introduction of eggs to the series.
It was indeed, because the eggs also still work in Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
They do, despite my dislike of the baby Pokemon.
Yeah, we've had this conversation.
We did. I think we did a ranking video. We might do this later on for a video.
We don't agree on baby Pokemon, but we do agree that Smoochum sucks.
We agree Smoochum sucks. Asmoreel's in the middle, and Elekid and Bonsley are also.
Yeah, we would have Elekid and Bonsley. Yeah,
that's as far as our agreements go.
Yeah. Smoochum does suck.
It does.
Oof.
Having fun of just breeding Pokemon with Ditto. Started the Ditto meme.
Slag.
It was the start of the Ditto meme. I can be anything you want, baby. Just the story was so in depth.
Story is good. It's the first one to bring in legends and old stories. The burning down the tower and the legendary dogs.
Getting you to know Lance and that a bit more. And
that whole bit with the Lake of Rage and then the Slowpoke well before it. Rocket were horrible in that.
Rocket were just a nuisance in Red and Blue. Here they were actively like, no, we need to stop them.
They were nasty. I think it's because they didn't have Giovanni. They were so desperate to get their daddy back. They were just nasty. And again, another reason that Heart Gold is better is it's got a better climax because you fight Giovanni in the waterfall.
It still doesn't have the nostalgia, dude. You know it's coming in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. You've played it, you know a lot of the story. Where playing it for the first time.
I played this game for the first time entirely in Japanese.
Really?
I got it from a boot sale in Devon on a dodgy store who was selling dodgy imports of games, and I was so pleased. I got.
Weirdly enough, I think the first time I played Silver was a knockoff, Japanese import.
So I played the entire game. I completed it.
Yeah.
Cantoed a lot entirely in Japanese. I had no idea what was going on. I knew the Pokemon were because I got a magazine earlier in the year. Yeah. It was in Power, but a spin off from Wizard the Comic magazine. So I knew who they were. But yeah, it's very weird. This game is much better in English. We can understand.
Oh yeah, quite a bit better. But it was also the introduction of shinies, which I love.
You do love nice shinies.
I do like shinies. I mean, the first time you experience Red Gyarados is just
so
amazing.
Cool.
And then finding out you can just randomly come across them in the wild as well.
Red Gyarados was a good choice.
It was an excellent introduction. And then there's just the fact that 16 gyms, 2 Elite Fours.
Oh yeah, in terms of content, it's so full.
Completing the game for the first time, like completing the Elite Four, and then it's like, what the hell do you mean we're going back to Kanto?
Yeah, like, what?
What? It's 2 games in
And
one. It's just amazing.
It's moved on. Cinnabar's been destroyed.
Koga's niece is now the gym leader, and he's an Elite Four.
Yeah.
For some reason, Bruno's still there. It's just
Bruno's got dirt on someone.
But I get. I think the improvements that Heart Gold and Soul Silver made just don't trump nostalgia for me.
This we've learned.
It's hard. It really is hard. Like I appreciate that it's probably a better game, but you put them both in front of me, I'm picking up the original.
We've learned this. You tend to judge far more based on emotion, and I judge far more based
Logic,
on on just on the quality of the game. But
yeah.
But of course there are really good games that I've left off because they don't mean as much to me. But
also, one thing I did forget to mention was this introduced Mystery Gift.
You're right, it did.
And made Delibird worth having. Where you could just randomly get mystery gifts, and depending on the day and the time and the stars, you could get anything from like a Petraberry to a Master Ball or a Celebi or some random stuff. And that, if you had Pokemon Stadium 2, you could get one in this game and I believe one in that game each day. And I really enjoyed that.
I also that is a good knock against Heart Gold and Soul Silver. This connects to Pokemon Stadium 2.
Yep.
That connects to Pokemon Revolution.
Oh,
Battle Revolution.
No, not Battle Revolution.
Oh, it was so dull.
Oh. But yeah, that was our top 10. Let us know in the comments if you agree or think we missed anything.
Yeah, we're finished. We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
What's your, just offhand, what's your least favourite Pokemon?
Least favourite Pokemon?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
What Pokemon would you like to shoot into the sun? Pick as many as you like, but you know.
Oh, I think a lot of the ugly single form ones. I don't really like Alamola.
Does anyone?
No.
That's fair.
I don't like the new Brambleghast.
You don't know at all. You don't Brambleghast and
I don't like a lot of the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, honestly. I think they feel quite lazy and just shoved in.
I think that a lot of them feel like they need another stage of evolution.
And some of them don't, like Pawmi.
Yeah, Pawmi
needs one less. What's yours?
I don't know. I really don't like Perugly and Glameow.
Oh.
I really don't like them. They're really ugly, awkward designs. I don't like them.
I think at some point we will probably try and do a ranking video of each gen, and then of all the ones that made it into the F tier, we'll do a ranking of those as well to find the ultimate worst Pokemon in our opinion.
The elemental monkeys can do one.
Yeah, I don't mind them.
They're just so nice.
And so I think that might bump them to because if we got to agree, then it might bump one or that up, one or down. But yeah, if you like this list, please let us know and like and subscribe and all that nonsense.
Tell us we're wrong, except about Heart Gold. Tell me I'm right and
tell me it's wrong. Let us know if you disagree. If we'll like to hear your number ones.
Of course, they'll disagree because no one agrees with anyone's lists online.
I don't think most of the newer gen Pokemon games made it into the top 10 list.
No, Sword and Shield is it.
This is the newest, yeah.
Oh, Snap,
so,
that's a
Snap, yeah, is a side game. Thanks for joining us, and hope you come back to the Loft.